the biggest issues plaguing modern men is that the vast majority of them lack a tribe of other virtuous, trustworthy, masculine men who gather for the sole purpose of improving themselves and their lives on a daily basis. Most men simply float through space, working a dead-end job, only to go home to a nagging wife or girlfriend that doesn't respect them. Their friend circles are nothing but fat, low testosterone losers who are more concerned with what sports teams are playing this weekend and what bar they're going to watch the game at. If these men are lucky enough to unplug from the comforting lies that modern society sells them and decide they want more out of life, they look around and realize they need to get into a better room. That's where a private community of men chasing excellence comes in. The men in our community have all committed to being the best versions of themselves that they can possibly be. They willingly run toward challenges, knowing that pushing themselves out of their comfort zones is the key to unlocking their true potential as men. If you're ready to take control of your life back and curate a network of successful and knowledgeable men, now is the time to seize the opportunity.
All right, we're back. Let's go, baby. We're at chapter.
What's happening?
We got a few more red flags to cover tonight. Should be fun. Everybody's favorite, starting off with tattoos and piercings. You know what, man?
Yeah,
that's that whole thing about tattoos and being a red flag just got blown up to more than what I thought it would ever become. It's like one of the most contentious. Like, how dare you tell me what I can and can't put on my body? It's like, I'm not telling you anything, but you want to, turn your body into a 3 or 4 year old sticker book where they just stick things all over it, then that's cool. I just wouldn't expect you to be that successful finding finding the kind of guy that you're attracted to want to lock you down. And the other really weird thing that came out this too, so we have a mutual friend that's an ER doctor, right? That's in our generals community. And, he was telling me one time that there is a direct correlation between women that come in for STD tests and the amount of tattoos on their body. It's very high. It's very, very high. So there's that, which you can also add to the equation as well. Should I even bother reading the insert on this one?
Yeah, let's do it. Stay with the theme.
We'll stick on theme. Where are we? Come on, baby. Here we go.
160.
Yeah, okay, so we got sugar baby, pathological liars. We'll get to those ones. Big notch counts, heavily tattooed and pierced. All right. Realize some men prefer women with some ink, and there will be men that will debate me on this. However, my experience have taught me that their placement and frequency matters. One tattoo hidden in her bikini line isn't too much to worry about, but if she's got a tramp stamp, and if you guys are from a generation that doesn't know what the tramp stamp is, that's the tattoo on the lower back with little squiggly things coming off the edge of it. That's more commonly updated today. Like today's version of that tramp stamp is like the chandelier hanging underneath the breast with the chain and all that sort of stuff.
That's the new version. Yeah,
that's a new version.
Rihanna made that popular.
What's that called? Or is that just like the modern tramp stamp?
I don't know. I know Rihanna. Rihanna's the one that made that popular, but that's what it is. It's like the sternum or like the rib, like front ribs. Yeah.
We'll just call it the Tata tramp stamp. How about that? Bikini line isn't too much to worry about. Or if she has a tramp stamp or more than one visible tattoo while wearing normal clothing, then you might want to ask yourself what she's saying to the world. I can't count how many formal events I've been to, Moff, where you're dressed up, you got a nice a suit, a jacket, and there's always a gal or two there walking around with an open back dress. Well, there's just like a whole thing showing off. It just doesn't look good. It never really looks good on the company that she's with. Like you always hear murmurs in like on the floor, around the bar, at the table where you're sitting about the class or caliber of woman or women that this guy's with when he shows up like this. Tattoos all over a beautiful woman is like putting bumper stickers all over a Lamborghini. I'll die on that hill all day long. I think a woman's body looks far better without tattoos on it than it does with. Again, like I said, when I open, some people have a preference for ink, but you might want to check your head on that. You don't sorry, you don't do it as it shows a lack of taste. Talking about putting bumper stickers over a Lambo. I've never met a woman with several visible tattoos that didn't bring at least 3 or more red flags to the table. Heavily pierced women is another red flag. Heavily piercing doesn't refer to 1 or 2 earrings here or something like that. We're talking about when they have like a whole like bullet hole, a machine gun shot all the way down the ear, all over the body too. You know, eyebrows, sternum. I'm a little akin to like the nose ring because that just looked you know, cute when I was a younger man, but beyond that, you know, when they go overboard with like the excessive piercings as well, nipples, belly button, clit, everything, gets a little bit too much. Draw the line at earrings if you want to push the limits. A nose ring, but if that piercing's unreceptive, nipple, clitoris, eyebrow, or even has multiple ear piercings up one ear, keep in mind you're dealing with somebody that enjoys mutilating their body, which is a red flag. It is bodily mutilation, you know, for being honest. You know, I was chatting with Elliot Hulse, you know, big strongman guy that was huge on YouTube for a while. And, you know, I was on his podcast a couple of years ago, and the notion of tattoos, you know, came up again. And he's like, you know what really bothers me about it? I'm like, tell me, Elliot, you know, what is it that really bothers you about it? He goes, you know, I got tattoos. He goes, but, you know, you send your woman in there, she's sitting in a chair, and this guy's piercing her body over and over again, because that's how they tattoo the body, right? Needles, ink, sort of thing. He goes, that's just something that I'm, you know, I'm never ever going to be able to get over. And I don't know. I mean, what do you think about tattoos, man?
Well, tattoos in general, there's no secret that I have tattoos. I've got basically half my arm done on this side. You can't see the camera, and I have one under my bicep on my left side here. So, but I haven't got a new tattoo in like 8 years. And I don't know if I'll ever get on anymore. I thought about finishing like my entire right arm or getting some more, but it's become kind of like the counter culture now. You know, like even a little bit of history on tattoos, like when things first started, like you weren't getting, like 80s and 90s, and even earlier, like if you had tattoos, it meant you were a badass dude. You were in the military, or maybe you were in the Navy, or you were part of some gang, or you really were counterculture, because they were seen as like, if you're tattooed up, like you're not going to get a job, you are a rebel. And now it's like, man, like it is a huge deal for Gen Z and millennial men and women to have tattoos. Like it's extremely prevalent. And over the last 10 years, you just see it more and more. And there's even memes about it. It's like, you know, every white woman, as soon as she hits 30, she gets a half sleeve tattoo of like flowers and daisies and all that bullshit. And it's, yeah, I mean, everything you talk about, what's funny enough is that back in my day, like I used to be big into girls with tattoos, man. That was like my thing. I thought it was really sexy. I used to be really big into it. I was like, oh, dude, the tatted up girls. Like, but you know, I dated, like every girl that I've ever dated has had at least one tattoo. And there's been some that have been relatively innocuous. And there was one in particular that was just, man, like all over her body, like both of her arms done, sternum, legs, down to her ankles. You know, it was just, and yeah, I mean, I don't know what the direct correlation is, but there does seem to be a direct correlation by the amount of body piercings, the amount of tattoos that a woman has, that it's a direct correlation to some sort of trauma and issues with upbringing. And I think a lot of that has to do with, you talk about women or even teenagers or teens, and it's almost always women that do this, that are cutters, you know, that cut their legs or cut their wrists. You don't see that as much like anymore. You see women like getting tattoos when they go through these traumatic experiences, and they love to church it up and say, oh yeah, I went through something really tough, so I got a tattoo to commemorate it. It's like, well, why would you want to have a daily reminder of some crazy stuff that you went through? And if we talk about it all the time, where it's like trauma and BS doesn't build women, it breaks them. It builds men, but it breaks women. I've got tattoos, but tattoos have always, for men, have always been sort of a thing, something, you know, in a lot of cultures, that you've earned, or it's shown that the bullshit that you've gone through, or the things you've overcome, you've conquered them, and it's made you better for it, not worse for it. But yeah, man, it seems that the popular thing now is this sort of sticker book thing, where these women will get these little tiny tattoos and they'll just like put them all over their bodies, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's like, I'm going to get a pizza slice here, and I'm going to get like a a picture of a mouse here, and it's like, why? Or because I like it, because I can, and you can't tell me what to do. It's like, okay. So, and to that point, like when I see a heavily tattooed woman, knowing that most women out there like are broke, or that especially young women are broke, in all likelihood, guys, if you're seeing a heavily tattooed woman, she didn't pay for those tattoos in cash, if you know what I mean. Look, I've got a lot of respect for the guys that have done work with me, but there are a lot of really skeevy, weirdo, low life artists out there that will trade sex for tattoos. They'll trade sex for work, right? So it's like, oh yeah, I want to get this done. Oh, well, it's going to be, $500, or we can go in the back and you can, XYZ, and then you'll come out with a fresh tattoo. So yeah, excessive tattoos, excessive piercings. I've got personal experience. My ex had a single nipple pierced. I don't know what that's all about. Like, just go all the way if you're going to do it. But yeah, there does seem to be a direct correlation between tattoos, piercings, and the level of trauma or issues that a woman's got. And I have yet to meet a really decked out woman that's super well adjusted who's just like, oh yeah, I just felt like getting a full bodysuit. And you're talking about like thousands of dollars worth of work a lot of these times. So again, these women don't have $50,000 in disposable income to go buy tattoos and have that stuff on their bodies. So, but there definitely is sort of like a counterculture. It depends artist to artist. It's kind of an odd question, because it's kind of like asking, what does it cost to go buy groceries? Like, you don't know until it's like, are you going to buy organic? Are you going to buy, bullshit? Are you going to go buy this shit? Are you going to, go to the produce aisle? Are you going to buy frozen food? I would say like a good artist, $150 an hour plus. So like my entire like half sleeve, I guess I'll call it. It's technically 4 different sessions, and it's like 4 tattoos together on one session, and it's not all together. It was 4 different tattoos that they kind of made into one. I sat for like 9 hours, then I think 6, then like 3, and then 2.
Like
so I mean,
$2,500, $3,000.
Yeah, and I tip really well. So I would pay the guy like a 50% tip. Or I think like if a tattoo cost me like $1,600, I'd give him like $2,500 or something like that. So yeah, so easily into the thousands of dollars for sure.
A lot of money.
That stuff gets expensive.
I mean, it was always a masculine pursuit originally. Sailors, somebody put in the convict. What do they put in there? Sailors, convicts, and bikers. Yeah, I mean, it was always like a masculine sort of like mark. And then I don't know where and when women picked up on it, but I think the first time I saw a tattoo was like the second girl I dated when I was like 22 or something like that. And she had a little heart tattoo down, the bikini line down over here sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Didn't look bad. It didn't really put anybody off. And it's not like you'd be embarrassed to, introduce her to anybody or take her to a formal event, because nobody would see it. But it was like shortly after that, like into my late 20s, even 30s, it's like, you start looking around. It's like women are covering themselves with these things in the most bizarre and excessive ways. I don't know if you were around when I had that tattoo artist on for the podcast. Were you around for that?
Not the artist. I remember the lady that called in that was like covered.
The one that was covered in tattoos,
ankles. And she was like, I regret all this. Totally, like, guys don't pay attention to me or look at me because of it or things like that. So yeah, I remember that. But no, I don't remember the tattoo artist you had on.
Well, it's the exact same thing that you were talking about. He said like about half to 2/3 of the women tattoo artists sleep with. So if you're sending your chick to go get a tattoo, probably want to sit with her there. Just you don't want to be like, the well's poison, when she comes back. It's pretty common actually in that line of work, from what I understand. But it's just not tasteful. It's tasteless. It lacks class. It lacks couth. Like you wouldn't. I mean, me personally, like I wouldn't want to introduce a chick that was covered in tattoos to my family. My kid. My brothers, my nephews and nieces and stuff like that. I don't have to explain that. It's like, but it's out there, man. It's like everywhere now, and it's just pretty common. I think the vast majority of women have at least one tattoo now.
Yeah, it's really hard to find women like in their 20s that don't have at least like one tattoo. They're getting them super young when they're like 20 and 19. But what's even worse
teens, like
is
16 to 17.
Oh yeah. Well, and their parents are letting them do it because you have to be 18 to get tattooed.
Parental consent,
but
yeah.
Again, but you can change your gender before 18, but you can't get a tattoo. But this idea, what's really interesting now too, is that you're seeing tattoos on places that you would never see become like popular and mainstream, like face tattoos. Yeah. That was something that was that neck tattoos, face tattoos, hand tattoos. Like there are still artists out there that won't tattoo hands, that won't tattoo fingers unless you're fully blasted, like you have a full bodysuit and it's the last place that you want to get tattooed. But there's people going into like, yeah, I want to get my hands done, or I want to get like my neck tattoo, or I want to get face tattoos because like these dumbass rapper weirdos are getting stuff like under their eyelids, and it's just that's how it is. And it's like, all right, man, well, I guess I hope it works out for you, but even then, like the whole thing, like, oh, you're not gonna be able to hold down a job, or it's like that stuff's largely going away. So the stigma, I think, is starting to.
It's not true anymore.
Yeah,
actually,
it's started to go away, but I think I'm seeing it as a correction.
I actually hired a kid, 2005 or 6. He was the first kid that I hired with a neck tattoo, and he had a neck tattoo like right over here. I can't remember what it said, but he was well dressed. He was very professional, polite, Filipino kid. But yeah, I was never impressed with the whole neck tattoo thing, and it was a sales job, like on the phone, so nobody could see him. So I didn't really bother with it too much. But I think like from the perspective of dating and dealing with women, again, a lot of these things you can look past. You can take on women covered in tattoos. The chances of her bringing other red flags to the table and being problematic in the relationship and being the kind of person that likes to mutilate their body over and over again with tattoos and stuff like this, it's like you just want to be like, I would avoid it. Maybe it's for fun, short term or something like that, but for anything long term, like, if she's starting to have conversations with you, like, hey, where do we stand? Where's this going? I'd love to have a family one day. You might want to tell her, yeah, that might be in the cards too, but I ain't going to put babies in a woman that's covered in tattoos. I'm not explaining that to the kids.
Yeah. And the final thing before we go to the next one, it's just, this is another example of a representation of how someone's inner beliefs manifest themselves outwardly with their appearance. I know I caught a ton of flack and I caught a ton of hate in the comments about when I said like, hey man, if a girl tells you she's a feminist, like I wouldn't, it's so funny how you guys will say, oh, don't listen to what they say, watch what they do. But then the minute I say, don't listen to her, you're like, oh, well, she tells you, well, I'm a feminist, I'm going to cut bait because I believe all women. Like, you guys are ridiculous. But the point being, this is a perfect opportunity to be like, again, probably not super well adjusted, probably doesn't have her life together, doesn't have a lot of stuff going for her. If she's spending hours upon hours upon hours in a tattoo chair, hanging out with some potentially, seedy folks. So yeah, they are sort of the predator in the, to kind of, there's somebody that mentioned in the comments, it's like, hey, look, like, they'll lure you in, but they're, they may, bite your head off when it comes to it. They might bring you in the shiny, bright colors, and you might think it's really cool. You want to be like, oh, like I love your tattoos, but it's most likely not going to end well if you get into something serious with the woman that's got, some serious work done.
Yeah. Let's go to the next red flag, number 10. Oh, sorry, it's heavily tattoos. So we're going to 11. We're talking about big notch counts. The most attractive quality in a woman is when she hasn't been with everybody and has her own standards. Setting aside the higher probability of her having an STD, multiple conducted studies have proven that the younger the age a woman loses her virginity at, the higher the number of men she slept with, aka her notch count, often results in her being far less likely to bond monogamously to a man in a healthy way over the long term. Moff, can you do a quick search for the Teachman study charts? There's one that overlaps with the Heritage study that shows what happens, and if you can pull that up, we'll talk about that afterwards. Long period of time. For example, a woman that lost her virginity at 14 and has slept with 30 men is far less likely to bond monogamously to you over the long term. Compare that with a woman who lost her virginity at 23 and has only slept with 2 men in a long-term relationship. This stuff matters. We're going to show you exactly why in just a second. If you want to get into a monogamous LTR or take on the risk of marriage, then do it with a woman with a low notch count that lost her virginity later in life. Research conducted by the Institute of Family Studies revealed that a virgin has a 5% chance of divorce after 5 years of marriage, whereas a woman with 2 previous partners has a 30% chance. The data stopped at 10, which showed a 35% chance of divorce. Promiscuous women that have had many partners and or have been sexually active from a young age do not make good long-term partners. It's not to say they can't or won't try to be a girlfriend or a wife, but the stats reveal how undesirable these women are in the long term, and that's why they should be treated as a friends with benefits and nothing more. You keep them at arm's length, guys. You don't invite them into your life. You don't invite them into your house. You don't buy them a ring. You don't put a bun in the oven. That's it. You identify a problem, you call it a problem, and you deal with it accordingly. Women with a higher notch count that are also more likely to report depression, becoming single mothers, have personality disorders, and have abortions, and have more abortions compared to women with lower notch counts. Women must preserve their value. Men must create their value. It's why throughout history, women's virginity was so prized, whereas a man's value comes from his ability to make something out of himself so he can provide, preside, and protect. Should note that women will never reveal the truth about their notch count to you, so don't bother asking to get an authentic number. Some may volunteer it, but be wary of any number they throw out, as women often fear being slut-shamed. Women only usually factor in relationships as part of their notch count, and they often disregard one-night stands, threesomes, lesbian encounters, friends with benefits, relationships, situationships, blah, 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 all that stuff in the past. They usually don't count them. What they remember is the guys that they like, that they had something longer term with. As a bare minimum, you can double whatever number she gives you. The lifestyle and company a woman keeps reflects her notch count. A woman that you met at 30 that claims that she was in a long-term relationship from the time she lost her virginity at 23 probably has a low notch count. But a woman that had an absence of any drama-free LTRs in her past, that lived on her own, traveled a lot, you met her at 35, she could have a notch count approaching triple digits. She worked on a cruise lines, during her 20s, stuff like that. You get the idea. It's not uncommon for women in their party years from 20 to 27 to rack up a notch count of 25 to 50 or more. Never forget, women become the average of the 5 women that she spends the most time with. If 5 of her friends are or were whores, she will be the 6th. You had that up on the screen. Can you just pop it back up over there for a sec?
Yeah, I brought that up one more time. Didn't want people to, wanted them to listen and not be reading.
Can you zoom that in a little bit? Is that the one that's overlaid with the heritage study? No, that's not it.
That's not the Teachman. All right, hold on.
Yeah, you want
because the other stuff is really small.
Overlaid on heritage. Let me see if I can find it. I had it up here the other day.
There's a graph, but it's like.
Oh, I got it.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's put this up on the screen. Share screen. Stable marriage rate. You guys, I mean, if you want to kill some time and learn something, you should go. Come on, add bullshit on Google. You should go read the Teachman study and or the heritage study. So on the left-hand side here, you got the percentage of a stable marriage. On the bottom, you got the number of bodies that she's laid with. You have basically an 80% chance of the marriage being stable, lasting into perpetuity. You get what you sign up for. In death do us part, and sickness and health, and richer and poor, and blah, 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 blah. These are generally, the people that stay together. These are my, parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, yours as well, going back in time. People got married because they were horny teenagers and they wanted to have sex, and that's why they did it. And that was usually the first time they did it. Now, usually when you get into an LTR or a marriage, you're supposed to stop having sex with other people. So like the paradigm shift has just gone right on its head. This stuff matters, okay? So 0 partners, you get 80%. When you start climbing the notches up to 21 plus here on this overlay with a heritage study, basically you're lucky if you get 17 to 20% level of happiness in a long-term relationship. And that's like, we've all seen these videos, these street interviews, Moff, where they're like, what's your notch count? And you see these 20-something-year-olds and they're like 50, 75, 102. Oh, I slept with 14 guys in, 1 week. Or there's, I don't know, the one where she's like, oh, well, I slept with the entire brigade when they were, at the barracks or whatever. Something like all these stories of like women just boasting overtly about slamming through a bunch of dudes. And there's really, I mean, there's nothing to brag about. She might be fun, for something short term, like as a lover perhaps, but for anything long term, it's just, again, guys, the whole point of this red flag list is to help you get through the selection process better, to make better choices so that you don't invite chaos and psychopaths into your life to create difficulties for you. The other problem too with this as well is you get a gal that's been with a whole bunch of dudes and things aren't going her way. Well, what do you think's going to happen when things aren't going to go her way? She's going to go from dude number 41 to number 42. She's going to bounce. She's not going to want to be reasonable. She's not going to want to look in the mirror and self-reflect and take accountability. She's just going to be, well, I've already been through 41 guys, so what's the difference here? I'll move on from this guy and I'll go to 42. And that's as it's as simple as that too. Like there's not a lot of sticking power with it. So go ahead, Moff.
Yeah, in my non-professional opinion, I mean, I've had this opinion in this for a while, and I know we talk about the stats, but I don't know if there's a lot of background on the why, and maybe there is, but I just haven't seen it. But for me, and what I can kind of tell, it's that the chemicals that are released, the pair bonding chemicals of oxytocin, for example, that are released in your brain when you have sex, they're high for men, they're high for women, but they're much higher for women than they are for men. I mean, we both have the oxytocin release, but the pair bonding chemicals are much stronger for women. If you think about women having sex, in their monkey brain, in their lizard brain, they are now pregnant. Now they are bonded to you. Now they're going to have a child with you. Now they need you to stick around. And before I segue into that, just really quick, because a lot of guys are like, well, how are you going to know what her body count is or your notch count is or this and that, and this discourse around that. She's never going to be honest with you and tell you. There's no point in reason in asking, but you can certainly see the way that she talks about sex, treats sex extremely, if she ever says anything about being comfortable with her sexuality or being sexually free or sexually this or sexually that, you're dealing with the high likelihood that she's a promiscuous woman and has a very promiscuous past. If you happen to have sex with a woman and she is not want to cuddle with you, she doesn't want to get up and kiss you after, she's not acting this sort of lovey-dovey, and she's basically treating it as if she just went to the bathroom and took a piss, those are pretty good indicators. Now, because it's just like anything else. It's just like the more you build up a tolerance to stimulus, the more of that stimulus that you need. So, the first time that you have sex, or generally the first time a woman has sex, that oxytocin blast is like, oh my gosh, I've never experienced this before. It's like having your first drink or having your first hit of a whatever drug, if that's your deal. But if you know anything about addiction, you know anything about addicts, caffeine, for example, if you get on caffeine, maybe 200 mgs a day is enough. Now maybe you got to kick that up to 250, 300, 500 to get that same effect, because you're adapting to that stimulus and your brain is not getting hit as hard, and that chemical release is not as powerful over time. And so what happens is, the more notches that a woman will rack up, the less oxytocin gets released, to a point where sex is just meaningless to her. And to your point, if sex really is the glue that holds relationships together, it's not communication, it's not friendship, it's sex. The only reason men and women are together is to have sex and make people. That's it. Otherwise, they wouldn't deal with each other in any form or capacity. Maybe in one capacity. I'm not going to say what that is on air. But the point being, she's got no incentive to stay, because again, you're just another notch on the belt. It's like, oh, on to the next one, on to the next one, on to the next one. She doesn't get that same pair bonding oxytocin release. And I used to think differently. I used to be the kind of guy that was like, it doesn't matter, however many partners or sexual partners a woman has had has nothing to do with who she is as a person. But the data all says that's wrong. And kudos to these people that are actually putting out this kind of research, because people are always asking these questions about, where's the research? Show me the study, show me this. It's like, we finally have some, but for a long time there was none, because if you're a researcher, you don't just get money to do studies for free. Somebody has to give you money. Somebody has to fund and support your research. And anything, if we know anything about the gynocentric social order that we live in, good luck doing anything or putting any research out there into the mainstream that is going to make women look bad for even a split second, because there's no reason to think that the minute women are looking bad, or that there's anything that potentially paints them in a negative light, they are going to rain down on you, man. So, again, that's why we have to rely so often with like anecdotal evidence and just what we see in the field and in the real world. But that's how I come to think of it, you know, for example. So, promiscuity, low, you know, low chance of pair bonding, low oxytocin release means, you know, she's got nothing that's pairing her to you. Just a bad bet all around.
So we got a couple more things here we got to talk about before we move on to the next red flag. Microchimerism. Do you know what that is, Moff?
Yes.
All right. Well, we're going to explain that to the audience. You've been a dog owner before, right?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with dog breeding protocols?
No.
So when you're doing a purebred sort of deal and you're going to sell those pups off sort of thing, you can't get a certificate if the female, the bitch, is mated with any other dogs in the past. Whether it had a litter or not doesn't matter. If the female has had intercourse with another dog, another breed even, there's no certificate of authenticity. You know, I guess you can put it that way.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is the notion of microchimerism, which they haven't properly studied directly in humans, but in other animal species, they've been able to replicate this many times over. Let me read this little excerpt over here, and I'll drop the link to the article in the chat. You guys can open it in a window and read it later if you want. Now, do not be confused by your father's DNA. So what microchimerism basically is when male DNA ends up in a female brain. And there's only 4 ways that scientists have figured out that male DNA can show up in the female brain: an unknown abortion that's undisclosed, possibility of a vanished male twin during conception, older brother transferred by the maternal circulation, or sexual intercourse. And what they're finding is 63% of females, so 37 out of the 59 tested, harbored male DNA in their brain. So there's that. Women are on birth control, and when they're on birth control, guys are doing what they're doing in there. And you know, you meet a gal who's you know, been with other guys, then other guys are inside her body. In the dog breeding world, they can't authenticate that breed being 100% authentic if the bitch is bred with other male dogs before. It's just something to contemplate. I mean, you know, you want to pass on your name and your DNA. They won't study it in humans yet, though. You know, like Moff said, they won't study anything that would make women look bad. And I think that if they studied this, they would probably replicate the same data that they've gotten off of other species, you know, they've looked at, which is unfortunate because they won't do the research, you know, to tell you the truth.
They won't even properly study seed oils. Like, what makes you guys think they're going to study this shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll drop the link here for you guys. You guys can open this up, or just search for the keyword microchimerism if you want to do a little deeper dive down the rabbit hole on that topic. But there's actually a really good book. If I can give you a really interesting, useful resource, there's a book called Sperm Wars. I think the author's name is Robin Baker, if I got that right. But definitely the title is Sperm Wars. Go get a copy of that book. Audiobook, you know, is fine to listen to it. You know, it starts with a story about an incident, and then it sort of like flips over to the scientific explanation after that. And you start to realize very, very quickly that the female reproductive tract and the way that sperm are designed are really to compete. And there's a reason why our ancestors for many years would gatekeep a woman's most valuable possession, which was her virginity, because you can only transact in it once, right? It's like, you know, you go buy a new car, you drive it off the lot. Oh, okay, you just drove it off the lot. It's no longer a new car, right? Same sort of thing. So it's something to contemplate. I'm not going to hold you guys to it 100%, but the lower the notch count, the better off you're going to be. The higher the notch count, the higher the probability is that you're going to run into problems. The higher the probability is that she's going to have a personality disorder. She's had an abortion, multiple abortions, microchimerism. You got all kinds of the other stuff that come along with that, with STDs and alpha widows, and he hurt me, and he cheated on me, sort of thing. It's like, these women, they don't really reconcile all of these issues in their past when they're dealing with a new guy. You've heard a lot of these manosphere influencers, talk about this stuff too. It's like, I don't want anything to deal with an older chick that's been with a whole bunch of guys. Like, I got to deal with all the baggage that she's carrying around and the problems that she's had. And he pushed me down the stairs, and he was an asshole, and he was mean to me. And that one time he looked at, and all that sort of stuff. It's just like, the less that she's gone through, the purer she's going to be, the easier it is that she's going to be for you to deal with. We'll move on from that right now. I got single moms on the list here, which is a longer one because there's a chapter on it. So I skipped it in this cast. We're going to revisit it.
Okay.
But we're going to go to 13, women seeking validation. What time are we at? 8:37. Do you want to run the ad reel, for a couple of minutes to take a break, grab some water?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, give us a couple of minutes, guys. We'll be right back.
You mean me?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I thought you had the panel up.
If you're someone who's gotten value out of the Unplugged Alpha channel and its accompanying best-selling book, then consider taking the next step in your unplugging journey and joining our exclusive community for unplugged men. Our community is made up of 4 distinct tiers. The School of Unplugging is where you'll find over 45 hours of content around dating, fitness, making money, increasing your testosterone, and more, along with weekly Zoom calls with Rich, Moff, and their hand-selected team of experts. If you're just starting out on your journey or you need a refresher of the basics, this is where to begin. The School of Entrepreneurship contains all of the content and Zoom calls from the School of Unplugging, plus Rich's flagship course on entrepreneurship, and an additional monthly call where Rich will personally evaluate your current business or prospective business ideas. Whether you're a current entrepreneur looking to take your business to the next level, or a hopeful entrepreneur looking to build your network and get specific and targeted coaching around your business ideas, the School of Entrepreneurship is for you. The Unplugged Brotherhood. Formerly known as the 10%, if you are looking to be part of a brotherhood of men who believe that putting themselves through physically and mentally demanding events in order to grow, then look no further. This tier is where you'll find in-person meetups that will test you and force you to grow alongside other members to create bonds that will last a lifetime. Finally, the 1%. The most exclusive tier of our community is where you'll find the top shelf men who have maxed out the 7 spokes of looks, money, status, captivation, frame, unplugging, and game. This is where you'll find exclusive high-level networking events, masterminds, and access to the best of the best. And last but not least, we're a global community with members in nearly 30 different countries across 5 continents, and we're growing every day. Go to entrepreneursandcars.com/community for more information, fill out an application form to which tier interests you the most, and book a call to see if it's a mutual fit. We'll see you on the inside.
All right. So let's do validation seekers. All right. Social media is a staple in today's world, with almost all women are on it. However, women who use public social media to gain attention from men should be avoided. When there are no good girls on social media, while there are no good girls on social media, the better ones will use private accounts. So, we've touched on this before. Use Instagram as an example. A lot of social media, you can have public and private facing messages. Even on Twitter, you can have public and private facing tweets and stuff like that. If you're dealing with a girl and she's posting provocative, salacious, sexy photographs, videos, reels, compilations, she's basically out there going, "Hey, look at me, guys. Like I'm over here. Pay some attention to me." The better women that use social media have private accounts, so they only showcase stuff to family and friends of people that they know, that they've sort of vetted, and they're probably a lot less salacious posts as well, meaning that only friends and family can see their posts, and they're not posting provocative photographs, fishing for likes, comments, direct messages. Okay. Public accounts using social media to sell a product or service, and treating it like a business is okay. But understand, she'll still have men flirting with her. So if she's like one of these fitness influencers, like we've had Gia McCool on our podcast before, fitness influencers. She's married, faithful and all that stuff, and very happy in her marriage, but she's got to post that kind of stuff. So you have to understand, if you're dealing with a gal that uses social media for a business, then that's something that you're going to have to tolerate. But it shouldn't have to be something that you're concerned about, right? If you know what I'm saying. We can clarify that in a bit. Sell product service to women. Sorry, the women posting daily provocative photographs or pictures of themselves on public accounts with thousands of thirsty males following them are selling something too, and it's their sexual agency. You see this a lot with OnlyFans now, Moff, where they don't put like the sales pitch to the OnlyFans, but they'll have like a link tree buried within. It's like, and it says something like everything you're looking for is over here. So they give you enough, or they give the thirsty betas enough on the feed that they want to dive down the rabbit hole of opening up their wallet and paying $10 a month or whatever it is for their subscription. These women that are selling the sexual agency are basically optimizing their hypergamy. If she's with you but is still posting photographs for attention, then she's asking herself if you're the best that she can get. Remember that, guys. You get a gal who's asked for your commitment and she's posting provocative photographs online. I've said this before, where I've seen a friend of a gal that I'm dating posting something provocative on social media when she's like engaged to this guy, and I'll make a comment. I'll be like, you know, Bob lets her get away with this. Like, is this something that he's proud of her, you know, posting pictures of her ass online? And that'll often turn into an argument. I just don't argue. I'm just like, well, that's the message that's, you know, being sent out there for it. So, you know, she can do with it whatever she wants. Most women can become drunk on social media attention. So if you consider a long-term relationship with a woman that's constantly seeking attention online, then you need to continue to exercise your sexual strategy and date her non-exclusively until she abandons that strategy. So you do not commit to a woman that is going to be showing herself off online. She's just fun. Practice whatever you want to call. Maybe she's a good gal. I don't know. But if she asks you a question, something along the lines of, hey, you know, what are we? You know, can we be exclusive? And you open up her social media and you're like, oh, you know, is this a picture of you over here with your ass on the beach with your girlfriends? You know, showcasing, you know, what you had for lunch sort of thing. That's kind of where you put your foot down. You're like, I just can't take you seriously if you're going to be doing stuff like that. Like, what is the point of this? You know, like, what is it that you're trying to tell the world here? Because you want me to commit to you. Like, you want me to buy you a ring and you want to get married and have children, but you're behaving like this in the next breath. I don't want that. You know, it's very simple. You just tell them what it is that you'll accept. And if they modify their behavior and they accept your boundary, good. If they don't, then you just don't take them seriously. A woman's sexual strategy is open hypergamy, and when she's seeking attention online, she's out playing on the ice trying to score a goal. Yeah, you know, think of it that way. Your sexual strategy as a man is unlimited access to unlimited women. Therefore, do not even consider monogamy until she abandons advertising herself. Do not take these women seriously. They're to be limited to a plate or FWB status only. Honestly, guys, I can't emphasize this enough. She's telling you who she is and what she's about by how she uses social media. And it's your job as a guy, because you're the guy, to lead and to set boundaries. And, you know, it's been said that the cost of love is giving up control, Moff. You know, it's like women want to be in love and they want to be with a top shelf man and all that sort of stuff. It's like, ladies, the cost of that is giving up control. I'm just going to tell you like it is. The cost of you falling in love and being with the kind of guy that you want is going to be you giving up a degree of control. And that might mean you're not allowed to post slutty pictures of yourself on Instagram anymore. And you should be okay with that, because you want this guy to commit. Do it. It's as simple as that, right?
Yeah, this is a big one. I mean, I will say that it's a greener flag. It's a green flag if a woman's private by default, even if she's single. I'm not as much of a stickler. I'm not as dogmatic on public profiles. Now, that being said, if it's a public profile and the pictures are clearly promiscuous and it's ass and it's this and that, like, okay, we know what's going on there. Because, like, look, if a girl is fishing for dudes and she's single, she's trying to get the attention of guys, like, I can understand her having the for sale sign. Like, that's a public profile is the equivalent of for sale sign. That's fine. Now it's going to come like, okay, well, you're going to ask me to claim you. You're going to ask me to be, you know, exclusive with you or whatever it is. Now, but you won't make your profile private, or you won't unfollow certain people, or you won't have certain people not following you. You're still essentially having the for sale sign, even though you're asking me to buy the car, but to keep it on the for sale sign because you're always open to another offer. And let's be clear about one thing too. Women that are running businesses online and are running businesses through Instagram are doing it through their sexuality, and they're doing it through their looks. Like, that's just it. Women are getting followers from their sexuality and their body. Like, Yeah, Gia is cool. We've had her on the show before. She's a friend of the program. We've talked behind the scenes about potentially doing some stuff in the past. You know, met her husband, very solid guy. But it's no secret that like he's not all over her Instagram. They're not posting a lot of stuff together. She posts every now and then. For the most part, it's her stuff, it's her workout stuff, it's her shoots, it's her outfits, it's her travels. And you know, that's all fine, well, and good. And they make it work for them. And she's a very squared away chick. So, you know, shout out to Gia if she ever sees this. But, you know, for a lot of these women, they're looking at it as an excuse. Like, oh, you're just insecure. Like these guys are just guys that I wouldn't, you know, give the time of day. But and man, this is where like the Instagram boyfriends come into play, right? I mean, dude, I did it. I was one of them. There was probably a dozen or so photos that I took of my ex so she could put it on Instagram for likes, and I wasn't in it. It was like, we're on vacation. Like, go get a picture of me in front of this, get a picture of me in front of that. Right. And so, you know, those are huge red flags. Those are attention seeking and validation efforts. And, you know,
by the
you
way,
guys don't know about
use
this.
those photographs that you've taken to put them on dating apps to attract other guys.
Yeah. So it's like a double whammy for them. But, and at the same time, like girls that are really obsessed with social media and care about the likes and the comments, there are different things that you can see. Like, oh, I don't like to post that because it didn't get enough likes. I want to post that at a different time so I get more likes. Well, I don't really want to post photos with you because it doesn't get me more likes than when I post a bikini photo by myself. So yeah, I mean, the attention of the girl world, what do they say? Attention is the coin of the realm in girl world. Attention is female currency. But if she's clearly she should be valuing your attention in what you're giving her above anybody else. Again, if she's arguing with you about what she gets to post or the guys that are commenting on her things and what she's putting out there, and they'll use the shaming tactics. Oh, why are you so insecure? Like, it's my Instagram. I can post what I want. Like, I don't care about these guys in my comments. But you care enough that you're reading all the comments and you care about the likes that you get, and you want me to be exclusive with you or to claim you, and yet you're still going to put out into the world that you're still going to act like you're single, essentially. I mean, there were times during the relationship where, you know, people were like, dude, are you and XYZ still together? I noticed you guys haven't posted a picture in like 6 months. I'm like, oh yeah, like, it's just kind of like that. And it leaves clues. So yeah, women that are highly active on social media, especially Instagram, even if it's running a business, it's just, you're playing with fire, right? You really, really are. And it's a lot of work to overcome that. Like, you really got to be that guy in that girl's eyes to overcome all the attention and all the dopamine hits she gets on a daily basis from strangers who she has to do no work to get those attention. She wakes up. It's like girls will post the most innocuous stuff. They'll go up and just like take a picture of themselves, like just rolled out of bed and they look disgusting, and they'll post it 500 likes. A guy did that. It's like, dude, what are you doing? You look like an ogre. Why are you posting this on social media? You're going to get dragged. It just takes no work to get attention from women or for women. So, but if that's something where she's, you know, if she's not willing to give it up for 24 hours or 48 hours, or there's things you can do, put her profile on private, delete followers, then she's clearly saying she values the attention of other guys over you. And that's not a girl that you want to take seriously.
Every single time I've said something about a photograph being inappropriate, whether it's with chick I'm dating or I notice one of her friends or family does something, there's always pushback. There's always, who do you think you are? There's always some version of, you know, why are you so controlling? But I'm never called a liar. And after the fact, the behavior usually modifies. Like I remember, you know, this gal that was posting pictures of her buttocks, and she was engaged, and I said something about it, and she never did it again after that. Right. So it's like a lot of the times, you know, these guys that are in the relationship with these women, they inherently have that feeling like they know something's up. But it takes a guy like me to, you know, point at something and be like, well, that over there is bullshit. You see that over there? That's bullshit. Everybody look at that bullshit. And you sort of point at the bullshit, and then they get it after a while. If you want to have some fun with this, because a lot of people say to me, Rich, you know, like, how do we fix, you know, the problems in the world today and stuff like that? If you want to have some fun with with what we're talking about with women like using Instagram boyfriends. Here's what I've done, and I've got videos on my phone. I'll have to dig them up at one point and share them. But you know, you see this a lot on vacations. Like the last time that I did it, I was down in Tulum, and you know, Tulum in Mexico, it's very photogenic for women. They love all the bohemian stuff out there and the artistry and the statues and all that sort of stuff. So they're taking photographs everywhere. And you know, you see these Instagram boyfriends that are taking the photographs of these gals, which they're going to use on their social media. And just walk by and just say, "Hey, bud, you know she's going to use that photograph to get attention from other men. Just keep walking." and just say it loud enough so that both of them can hear you, and you just keep walking. Or if you want to be a little nicer about it, just go up to the guy and tap him on the shoulder and be like, "Hey, would you guys like a photograph together?" And her face drops because she gets pissed off because now you're interrupting.
Like, oh, that's okay.
Yeah, and well, he'll go in for the photograph, and you'll take a picture of them together, and you'll hand the phone back, or just walk by and just talk to the guy and be like, "Hey, are you one of those Instagram boyfriends I've heard about that like does nothing but take photographs of their girlfriend while on a trip?" And then you just keep walking. You just give them something to think about, right? That's just how things are. You know, women love attention. Women, like we said, the coin of the realm in gal world is attention. Attention and validation is what they're looking for, and even if they get it from you, they still want to get it. And women will take compliments. I've heard of stories of gals that that I've been with that have been sitting down and they'll be like, I was in a coffee shop or I was in this place and this guy came up to me and he asked me out. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. Why are you telling me this sort of stuff? What all happened, sort of stuff. And it's like they get hit on constantly, so they're used to the attention and validation. The thing that social media does for them is it just amplifies it. Women get hit on when they go to the gas station. They get on when they're getting groceries. Social media amplifies it, and it's like this tool, this screen, is used very differently, between men and women. Men will obviously photograph stuff outside their cars, the things that they're interested in, whereas women, it's selfie mode, right down the top sort of thing, to get all the good angles. So just be aware of that. You don't need to say or do anything until she starts asking you for a commitment, or she starts asking you questions, or wants to spend more time with you. Then you can just look at her and go like, it's been a fun month or so, and I understand that you want to, that you'd want to spend more time with me. Like, why wouldn't you? I'm fucking awesome. I get it. But I really have a hard time taking a woman seriously that posts the amount of salacious and provocative photographs that you do on social media. You're basically marketing yourself almost naked to everybody else. I'm not sure that I, can take somebody like that seriously. That's it. That's all you got to say. And she might say, oh, okay, fine. I'll just delete them, or I won't do that anymore. I'll just make my profile private or whatever. Okay, well, that's a good start, and then you can sort of move on from there. And that's all this is just trying to, make an effort to suss the wheat from the chaff. Like, let's figure out what shit looks like, point at it and go, okay, well, that's shit. I'm not going to walk in that. I'm going to walk around it. I don't need to study it. I just know it's shit. Like something obvious that's just not a good thing for you, like a violent woman, right? Like women that are just violent, they throw shit. Like you're going to end up in all kinds of, that's just shit. Whereas something like, seeking validation online, that's kind of almost all women. And you're probably going to have to do some degree of course correction with just about any gal that wants you to commit to them over the longer term. Again, this stuff only matters if it turns into something longer term. If you're not about that, you want to spin plates, you don't really give a shit, have fun. Let her do whatever the hell she wants. You don't care. Yeah. You got other options as well anyway, right?
That's a really important point, because I think that's the message I'm trying to get across to you guys when I talked about like the feminist thing. Like this stuff, none of this stuff really matters. We talked about violent women and that sort of thing. If you guys want to do the LTR thing, then this stuff really comes into play when she's starting to ask for that commitment. If you guys like are cutting bait from a girl the minute she exhibits one or two of these red flags, then like you're never going to get any practice. You're never going to learn how you interact with women and how they interact with you. You're never going to see what maybe genuine burning desire looks like or sounds like or feels like. But I mean, the big thing guys have to do, they've got to really be honest with themselves, and they have to take heed of this advice, because there's guys that will get into relationships with red flag women with daddy issues or feminists or party girls or seeking validation seekers because they don't have the balls to have that conversation with a girl that says, cut this BS or I walk. They'll just say like, well, I don't really like it. She's like, well, it's not going to change. So you got to accept me for who I am. He's like, oh, okay. And then they go back to this beta tie stuff and they become a doormat all over again. So, I mean, look, man, like if you're the kind of guy who you have to cut bait at the first red flag, I guess I understand. I'd say you're better off doing that than getting with a bunch of these red flag women and letting them taking them seriously and letting them into your life and potentially, doing real damage to you. But the beauty and the gold, it lies in the nuance. It's not a false dichotomy. It's not either cut bait right away or bring girl into your life as LTR. So that's the real message that I try to get across with these. And again, I go back to like we're talking about the feminist points. It's like, dude, like if a girl says she's like a feminist on the first date, like, does that really matter until like she says, hey, I want to claim you or I want to be this? It's like, okay. And by then, maybe she has demonstrated some of these BS feminist qualities. And maybe you're like, oh, yeah, absolutely not. You're nuts. And like the way you talk about XYZ, ABC, like it's just not going to happen. It's been fun, but like there's the door. I'm going to exit now. Or maybe the couple of dates or the month or two that you spent with her, she's like, wow, like she said she was a feminist the first day I met her, and now all she does is cook and clean for me, do my laundry, and now she's like wearing MAGA hats. I'm just saying to you guys, it's not a great strategy to just do this and cut and run the first time something pricks your ears up and, that you have this sort of apprehension of a woman. You're only going to do that if you don't have the skills and you admit to yourself that you don't have the skills to tell a woman no and to tell her you're not going to get my commitment when she exhibits bad behavior. I mean, that's all this stuff boils down to. Like if you've got kids and you don't ever want to be an LTR again, like, dude, spin plates forever. I don't care. But this stuff, exactly what we're saying is this is not a red flag list of women to avoid cold turkey and not touch with a 10-foot pole. It's strictly look out for these things and consider them. And the minute she asks you for more of your time and attention or exclusivity or whatever it is, then you can use this data to make a decision on whether she's worthy or not. That's really it. I just think more nuance needs to come into play when it comes to this kind of conversation. So I'm glad you threw that caveat in because I think it's an extremely important point.
Just to illustrate the importance of these boundaries, if you don't vet these red flags, if you don't try to modify behavior, this is the kind of stuff that you end up living, right? Like there's these nerds that go to Reddit and they have a thread called "Am I the Asshole?" and it says AIT. So, am I the asshole? Wife went on a girls trip, returns wearing another man's hoodie. So as you read above, my wife and her best friend went on a trip and she came back wearing a hoodie they didn't buy. It's obviously old and very worn, and asked about it. And she admitted a guy gave it to her and it smells like a man's cologne. She said, I'm a downright asshole and no other guy would be pissed about that. So am I the asshole? Like this is the stuff that you'll end up doing if you don't get good at basic boundary setting, if you don't get good at being able to lead the relationship to like where it needs to go. And not all women will comply. A lot of women say, no, you're too controlling. I like posting these photographs. All right, fine. Have fun with them. The thing that you end up missing, when it comes to that, is that women that truly love you, women that are in love with you head over heels, they see you as the hypergamous best option, they will go out of their way to make you happy. They will give you a lot. And the cost of doing business with her, I'm using this in transactional term because that's how it's thought of in that space anyway. The cost of you dealing with her will be very low. She won't make you jump through hoops. She won't be bothering you and be like, oh, look at this cute Airbnb I found in a treehouse 4 hours away I want to go to for a weekend after we just went to one last weekend and like make you jump through all these hoops to make her happy. She doesn't do any of that stuff. It's like, you just say, I don't really take women seriously that post whorish photographs on Instagram seriously. Okay, well then I'll stop that. Well, good. Okay, so that's a simple conversation. That's how it will go if she actually likes you. If she doesn't like you and you're just kind of filling time, or maybe she likes some of the attention, or maybe you've got a lot of financial resources and she's milking you or something like that, She's going to call you insecure. She's going to call you controlling. Why would you be like that? I'm not going to do that. You just end up in a big fight. But that's not how it goes. If a woman truly loves you and she sees you as her best option, she'll be very agreeable. She'll be willing to do anything to make your life easier, including not posting slutty photographs of her online.
And again, a lot of these women are just doing what they think they should do. Yeah, we'll grab it in a sec. But again, talked about this before. Women are malleable. They're moldable. A lot of them, they're just going with what the mainstream is, what all their friends are doing. And until you say like, nah, that doesn't fly with a guy like me, she probably is just like, oh, wow. Like, okay, then I'll stop. Like, that's not a problem. That's
actually
not
a very good point. That's a
putting
very
promiscuous
good point.
photos up on Instagram is not as important to me as your attention and being with you if you're that guy.
Remember this, guys. You're the cup. She's the water. The water conforms to the cup. That's just the way that it is. You know, you are the rocks that the waves crash upon it in the stormy seas. That's just how things are. And when you set that tone, you say, that's just how things are. She's either going to accept it or she's going to reject it. And if she rejects it, that's just information telling you that she doesn't like you enough. It's as simple as that, right? Siege says here, hey, Rich and Moff, first time super chatting your channel. Just got done fact checking some dude dissing you on X. Rich, have a good show. Okay, thanks. I don't know what happened on X, but appreciate the support.
And just really quick on that point again, like this is, you guys have to be willing to walk away. This is why I think guys would rather cut bait than even test it out, because it's easier just be like, oh, red flag, gone, before you have any investment, before you've been with the girl, before you spend time with her, before you hung out with her. I get it, man. Girls are sometimes fun to be around. They're enjoyable to be around. Sex is cool. It's fun. Bedroom Olympics is all fine, well and good. I get it. But when you're telling me that you'd rather just cut bait right off the bat, what you're communicating is you don't have the skill or the wherewithal to not compromise on your boundaries for a chick that makes you feel good. You're basically saying, I'm not going to even run the risk because I don't have the ability to guard that border and that line in the sand. It's better just to not do it right off the bat. And that, I don't think that's a viable strategy, because again, I think that every girl that comes into your life, every plate that you spin is an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to practice. It's an opportunity to exercise boundaries and control and living your life and not letting a girl throw you off course. Because guess what? What's going to happen the first time that a girl does come into your life that you do like? You're not going to have any practice drawing boundaries. Like maybe things are all great. She doesn't exhibit the red flags. And maybe you do give the commitment. And maybe 6 months down the road, you find out that she's a nightmare to deal with in this certain social situation. Well, guess what? Because you have never practiced drawing down boundaries, saying, hey, stop that. I don't put up with that. She's going to walk all over you, man. So again, I'm not telling guys to be Captain Save-A-Ho. I'm not telling guys to simp over women. I'm saying that you can get practice with women. And if you want to cut bait when she asks for more of your time because she exhibits red flags, perfectly fine, well and good. But you'll miss out on building a lot of skill, and you'll miss out on getting a lot of good reps in practice if the first time a girl does something that's a little bit like, if you just never talk to her again. That's my whole stance on this thing.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, if you're in a position to dismiss a gal because of a social media account that you come across for the first time, I would hope it's because you've got like 10 other options on the go. Sure. And you're busy and you don't want to waste your time.
Right.
Right. Otherwise,
but if that's not the case, build a roster, man. Build a rotation. Get those plates spinning.
Build a rotation, learn how to deal with them. You know, guys, I really can't emphasize this enough. The key to doing well and having a good experience with women is attraction and value. The more attractive you are, the higher you value, the less bullshit you put up with, and the easier she'll make dealing with her. It's just a fact of life. That's just what it boils down to. And by the way, the byproduct of doing all that work is you probably have more money. You'll probably be more interesting. You'll have a better network. I mean, this is why Moff and I put together such a complete course on the school community platform, giving you guys everything you need to get where you want to go. You want to make more money. You want to fix your health. You want to deal with women better. We've got like lesson after lesson after lesson in there. It's very, very complete. I think with that being said, we don't really have anything else to add to these three. We've got more in the coming weeks. We'll probably just do one entire episode on single moms because that takes a lot to cover. But yeah, you got anything else you're doing ladies' night tomorrow?
Yeah, ladies' night tomorrow, and then we are on the road, man.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do a show on Wednesday. I'm going to try to squeeze one in Wednesday, but I got to pick up these guys from the airport. We're doing, the Algonquin trip. I'm taking about 30 guys up north, and we're going to merge them into the deep woods with no connection to anything in the modern world. It's even a longer trip this time, so we'll fill you guys in when we get back, and see what it's all about. What's this over here, Riz? Moff, you're speaking to the younger men. If we have been with women and married, had kids, divorced, or not too keen on trying again. I mean, I get that a lot of guys
Who the fuck is saying anything about getting married, dude? Like, when did I say get fucking married? Like, this is my fucking problem with you guys. You just hear what you want to fucking hear.
Hear me out, because I think I'm reading him a little bit differently than you. It sounds like he's saying, like, I've already been with women and I've been married and I've got my kids and I've been divorced. I'm really not that interested in dealing with women again. And I get that. But what that boils down to is not setting sufficient boundaries, right? Like, if you're a guy my age, I'm divorced, I got, my kid, I'm definitely not going to get married again. If any chick brings it up, it's like, marriage is really important to me, I want to get married. Not in Canada. That's completely off the table. I'm not inviting the state in my house. It's entirely possible to love a woman and not be married to her, and that's just the way things are. And if she has a problem with that, you just move on from it. I mean, just don't deal with bad behavior. Don't deal with women that make your life difficult. And like I said earlier, the key to all this is value and attractiveness. And if you're fat, out of shape, you get out of the shower, you can't see your Johnson, you can't see your feet because your belly's covering the whole thing. That's what I would be working on, not, women suck or any of those things. Like, this isn't the He-Man woman hater club. Okay. Like, what we do is we point to the facts and we lay out things for you in a clear, concise way so that you can get the results that you're looking for. And, we hope that you guys do the work. And if you don't want to deal with chicks, don't deal with chicks. We don't care either way. It doesn't matter to us. But announcing that women suck, or I don't want to deal with women, or whatever, or I've already got my kids, is like, you're basically saying, well, I'm going to take my toys and I'm going to leave the sandbox and I'll go play over here by myself. Right. And it's like, you kind of sent your own way. You're not a man going your own way. I think you did a thing on this with men going their own way.
Oh, I got a lot of hate for it. Yeah.
Did you?
I mean, look, and I said this like 10 minutes. Oh my God. Did you read the comments? Yeah. I said this like 10 minutes ago, man. Like, dude, I tell guys, I'm like, if you already have kids, I don't see a reason for guys to pursue LTRs unless they want to have kids or have more kids. Like, if I was ever to get in that position where I had kids and I, got with a chick and I didn't want to have any more, dude, I would just spin plates forever. So again, I'm only talking to the guys that want to do the LTR thing. If you don't want to do that, then don't. But again, MGTOW is just a giant cope. Like, there's no such thing. Like, I don't know a single guy out there that makes a bunch of money, that's jacked, that's influential, that has charisma, that has status, and that has his option to get his whatever woman he wants and just chooses to not deal with him on any basis. It's just not a thing. So that's my only thing. Like, I'm not talking, don't tell me who I'm talking to, because I'm talking to everybody here. This is the problem. Like, I'm trying to talk to you guys about this as a nuanced opinion, and it's like, oh, you're talking to, but I'm married and I've been divorced, and it's like, no, dude, like, just listen to what I'm saying without trying to put your argument into my mouth. I promise. I work with single guys. I work with married guys. I work with divorced guys. I work with guys that build rotations. Like, there's nobody with any sort of situation that I haven't met or had conversations with that I don't work with. So, all due respect, man, like, just listen to what I'm saying instead of rushing to this conclusion of who I'm talking to. Because I'm talking to guys that also have been divorced before and that have kids as well. And there's a lot of guys out there that are divorced and that do want to get back into the LTR game. That's actually more common than you think. There's a lot of guys that are married and divorced that don't know who they are outside of a long-term relationship or marriage. And those guys are the ones that need to hold those boundaries. And not only that, like, boundaries don't even have to just apply to women, man. Like, you can draw healthy boundaries with anybody, with friends, with family members, with coworkers, with bosses, with employees. It is never a bad idea to be practicing drawing boundaries in your life. So again, look at these opportunities as areas for practice and to sharpen and hone your skills, even if you're not using them for women. they can be good targets, or they can be good practice options, or, you know, paper plate targets, if you will. So in any case, Rizzo, I know you're a long-term watcher and you're a long-term fan, man. So I don't mean to go nuts on you. And I know you're not the LTR. Cool, man. Then don't do the LTR thing. Like, no one has said anybody has to do the LTR thing. But there's a lot of guys that do want the LTR, but deep down they do want it, but they say, oh, well, it's not worth it, or this and that and the other. I just don't agree like with any of that nonsense. But anyway, Rizzo, you're a good dude. Shout out to Rizzo.
All right. Last super chat. How about women that say I love you in 2 weeks?
Marry her. Marry her.
Tell her.
Answer that question. Yes.
Oh, you love me? That's awesome.
Put a kid in there.
Go and tattoo my name on your body.
There.
Let's see if you got that in you.
There you go.
It doesn't happen that often. And if a woman starts to love bomb you like that, there's probably something wrong with her. So just watch the behavior. Like, you know, keep her at arm's length and see how it's going. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys soon. You got ladies' night tomorrow night, so you can indulge in a little more red meat then. See you. All right, guys. If you enjoyed that podcast, make sure you visit my website at richcooper.ca to learn more about my courses, my book, The Unplugged Alpha, community, or booking me for private coaching. Also, if you are a Canadian with $15,000 or more of credit card debt and what you are doing right now isn't paying off the balances, then visit totaldebtfreedom.ca and hit get a free quote to see if you qualify to settle your credit card debt for less than you owe today over the next 48 months. Make sure you check out the top pinned comment on YouTube for all the links mentioned during the show. Peace.